Welcome back to Reddit Boss, r/AskReddit. And in today's story, what's your creepiest glitch in the Matrix or unexplainable thing that's ever happened to you? Let's get started. Taking the trash out at night, super remote area, so I know for a fact we're the only ones around here. Getting close to the road, and I hear very clearly, "Help me," from a female voice. Even knowing there's such a slim chance of there being another living person around, I still feel like I should look around and check it out, in case I wasn't just hearing things and someone actually needs help. Take about 2 steps in the direction I thought I heard it. Hear a giggle in the same exact voice, turn around, and walk promptly back up the driveway because the duck that crap. Anyone who actually needed help wouldn't be laughing, I don't think. When I was a child, my sister and I were walking home from the park and a man called, "Help!" We found an open manhole and could hear the man calling for help, but we could not see him. I was 9 and panicking. Thought we should crawl in to help. My sister, 11, had the good instinct to get our parents. When we came back with them, the man was gone. As an adult, I can see the whole thing was a ploy, the manhole right next to the park. It makes complete sense, but still so creepy. I had just pulled into the parking lot of where I worked and was walking towards the building. It was like 3 in the afternoon, broad daylight. All of a sudden, I heard an ambulance siren start sounding. Naturally, I looked down the road to try to see the ambulance. I see it approaching and decided to watch it for a bit. It was quickly getting closer, and it was about to pass right by me. However, there was a large SUV waiting to turn out of the parking lot and onto the road, blocking a few meters of the road from my view. The ambulance passed behind the SUV, probably about 50 feet away from me at most. And I vividly remember the siren becoming completely silent, and in the instant, the ambulance had vanished entirely as it passed behind the SUV. I was so confused. The road did not have many cars on it at the time. It was broad daylight. I did the triple take and made sure I didn't just miss it. I had a clear view of the road going both directions, and there was no more ambulance to be seen. No more siren either. I walked up and down the road trying to find it for a solid minute, but nope, it was gone. I was well rested, not on drugs, and I didn't have a history of hallucinations. It seemed dismissible, but I was completely aware of what happened, and I can't explain it to this day. I used to have terrible sleep paralysis. Thankfully, it hasn't happened in about a year now. I woke up once to fairy demon things hovering just above my bed and glowing which normally I would have stayed somewhere calm until they left, but I also visualized my cat hissing at them with her ears flat back. Really messed with me that my mind did that to me. What? I have a very similar story. Broad daylight, sitting at the stoplight to turn left under a highway bridge. In front of me and to the left is the turnaround lane for traffic coming from the other direction. I hear a police siren coming my way. I see a motorcycle cop with his lights flashing and siren on the following a white SUV. The white SUV turns left in the turnaround lane with the policeman following about 20 feet behind. This is where it gets weird. Both the SUV and the motorcycle cop are going roughly 25 miles per hour. As the cop enters the turnaround lane, his siren suddenly shuts off completely. Off the moment he passes behind a small concrete pillar. He never comes out from the other side of the pillar. The SUV just continues on as if nothing happened and heads for a Chicken Express just up the street. I'm sitting there in disbelief, wondering how and why the cop came to a complete stop from going 25 miles per hour and his siren turned off at the same time. And the pillar would have only barely been able to cover him front to back. And when the light turned green, I went and looked behind the pillar, expecting to see him somehow, but he wasn't there. My motorcycle cop got swallowed before my eyes into another dimension, and I think the white SUV did it somehow. I am 99% convinced this happened to me as a teenager, and no one believes me. A friend and I both worked Wednesday mornings at the same time, different places. So I would pick her up and drop her off, and then go to my work. One day I got to her house, and I remember thinking that I need to call her to let her know I'm here. But all of a sudden, the phone call is there, minutes in, and she just saying my name over and over, asking why I'm just sitting there. I remember feeling weak in my arm holding my phone, left-handed, so it was hard to pick up to my ear. Apparently I called her, then just blanked out. She saw it from the window, answered me call, and kept asking if I was okay, because I just sat there in my car like a deer in headlights. To this day, I have no idea what possessed me to just lapse 5 minutes in time, but it's never happened again in my life. I was working on my motorcycle in a dirt lot where I had crashed it trying to do a sick drift, breaking off the clutch lever and the gear shifter. I had brought a wrench set with me, and I was using one of them to take off a bolt, and when I put it down on the ground to finish unscrewing the bolt with my hand, 2 minutes later, I went to pick it back up, and it was gone. I ran all around this dirt lot looking for it, no available. Luckily, I had a spare in the car, fixed the bike, and drove back to my apartment to shower as I was filthy. I walked in my room, and sitting on my desk was the wrench. I was dumbfounded. This reminds me of when I was in dance as a little girl. I remember throwing my dance shoe over my shoulder as I was getting ready in my room. When I turned around to grab it, I couldn't find it anywhere. My mom and I searched for 10 minutes before we decided to leave without the shoe, so we wouldn't be able to be late to practice. We found the slipper in my winter boot by the porch just as we were leaving, which was across the house from where I was when I tossed my slipper. I've told this story before, and I could go into a ton of detail, but here's a short version. I'm 100% sure I have vividly remember a dog that apparently doesn't exist. When I was 16, we lived on the other side of the Providence, and my uncle had this little Jack Russell named Crew. Crew went missing for several months and then turned up at Humane Society over an hour away, and we were all shocked. This little dog has made it so far. Anyway, that was almost 20 years ago, and the other day I was talking to my parents and was like, you know, whenever I hear about Jack Russells, I think about Crew and the stunt he pulled, and they had no idea what I was talking about. Insisted my uncle had never had such a dog. I must have dreamt it, etc. Honestly, anyone who have remembered this dog has been dead for a long time, and I don't even have any pictures of my uncle. I absolutely no way prove this dog existed, but I'm sure that he did. They may have just forgotten my parents are alike as well. Not that long ago, I was telling them about a letter I had written to my dad while he was away for a few years ago. They were both insisted I must have dreamt it, but I found it not long after. Sometimes people can forgetful. It doesn't necessarily mean Crew didn't exist. Very true. It was a chaotic time. My uncle passed away very unexpectedly short before we moved, and everything felt like a whirlwind. I still wish I could prove or disapprove the existence of this dog because I remember him so vividly, and my family doesn't. Not even my brothers, though they were much younger, and I don't even remember much about that time at all. So this might be hard to explain. I was probably 12 and lived in a big old log cabin. One day while my parents were at work, I got in a fight with my brother, 18, who had some anger issues. He chased me through the house, and I ran out one door, around our porch, and in through another door. I was going to lock it behind me, but I didn't have time because he's too close behind me. So I slammed the door behind me and kept running. When I glanced back to see if he had made it through the door yet, he was banging on the window of said door and yelling for me to unlock it. The door was locked and there was no he had locked it, because the door could only be locked from the outside with a key, of course, and our parents never gave us the key. There was also no way the door could have accidentally locked when I slammed it behind me, because it needed to be fully turned to lock and usually require some fingering at the end to make it actually lock. I stood there dumbfounded for a few seconds and then ran to a bathroom and locked myself in there. Definitely feel that saved me that day. Could it be possible that he just assumed the door was locked and reverted to banging on the window? Once as a kid, my brother locked me on the deck, and after repeatedly trying to get in, I gave up before looking through the window and seeing him and his friend leave the house. I never tried the door again and decided I had to jump off the deck. It was only like 10 feet off the ground, but as a child, it was terrifying. Turns out, they had unlocked the door well before leaving the house. I had a similar situation. One day, me and my two brothers were helping my dad clean the house. We were sweeping, dusting, washing the dishes, you know, the everyday cleaning stuff. My dad goes to the garage, and as he goes inside, we hear the door to get in the garage lock as he enters. A few minutes pass by, and we hear our dad started banging on the door, screaming and saying who locked the door and that it wasn't funny, but we were all in the living. As I go to unlock it, my dad just comes out furious, saying, "That wasn't funny." But I look at him with a confused look and told him we were all in the living room and we never moved from there. I had a very important document that I only ever kept in one place. I kept it in the top of the drawer of a small filing cabinet. I never moved it and would always see it in the drawer whenever I open it for whatever reason. The day came that I needed it now, and I didn't sweat it because I knew exactly where it was. Well, I'll be damned if it wasn't there. Cue panic attack. I tore that filing cabinet up. I removed everything and spread it out. Flipped papers over, dug through envelopes, shook everything out. Shined a flashlight all through the emptied cabinet in case it was somehow stuck into the sides. I mean, it was not there. I can assure you no one took it or was messing with me. I was so frustrated I even looked through other parts of my house, but I knew it wouldn't be in any of those places, and it wasn't. I was immediately going back to the dumb filing cabinet, no luck. Super irritated, I searched the rest of the house again. On my way back downstairs where the filing cabinet was, I called out in frustration, "Okay, bring it back." I don't know who I thought I was talking to because I was alone. But you guessed it, I found it in the top drawer of my filing cabinet where it should have been in the first place. I was relieved and totally freaked out. I called it out in frustration, "Okay, bring it back." On numerous occasions, I have done something similar when I can find something even after looking for it a long time in the places where it should be. I usually say something like, "I don't mind that you borrowed it, but I need it back now. Please put it back in the next place I look." Oddly, this works more often than not. I don't think it's anything supernatural, but I don't mind hedging my bets either. Most likely, it's the act of pausing and taking my mind off the search for a moment that does the trick. Lost my ring, but knew exactly where. I left it on the bed and then took the covers off and forgot about it. The next morning, it was gone for 6 to 7 days, every day. Flashlight under bed, next to bed. No big area where it could be lost. Should be easy to see, but it was gone. I too said, "Okay, enough, bring it back now, little people, Native American, gooms, fairies, whatever, whomever likes to mess with my stuff." And like shiny things, took a shower after saying to bring it back. Got the intuition to look one more time, and there it was, smack dab in the middle of the floor. Remind me a lot of the story. 2 things, each was witnessed. by at least one other person, and both were while driving. Once at a stop sign in the neighborhood, all of these little sparkles started swirling around in midair, roughly 3 to 4 feet off the ground, out of nowhere. The group of them were roughly 2 feet wide and 3 to 4 feet tall. It lasted 3 to 5 seconds, and then they were gone. No one was around, and when I asked my passenger if he saw it, he too breathed a sigh of relief and said yes. We spoke about it a little more, and there was no reasonable explanation. The second happened when myself and 3 friends were driving down an empty country road, very straight stretch. A man on a bike appeared. Someone said to watch out for him, so not to hit him, and then he disappeared. Our minds were blown, to say the least. Just poof, and he's gone. Thank you for watching this video. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Reddit Boss. Have a great day. See you soon.